I'm Milton Tyree. I'm an associate with Mark Gold and Associates from the US, and I'm really interested in all the possibilities that can be seen for community, for business, and people with disability through customized employment. After people have engaged in the process of discovery and learned about things that they're good at doing and interested in doing and what needs to be in place for people to be at their best, the next part is to think about what does this mean for a good job, and to think about what businesses would I contact. Well, discovery provides something of a blueprint for that, because at the end of discovery, we'll be thinking about translating what is it that's been learned about this person? How does this relate to tasks that the person would be good at doing, interested in doing, that would fit their conditions for work? And what kinds of businesses can use those tasks? So one of the top tips I can think of when approaching an employer for a meeting is to make it personal. We've talked about how discovery is a very personal process in devoting time to know a job seeker with disability. Job development is a very personal process of getting to know a business and the people in that business and what's important to them, what it is that they need, and if there's a possibility that the person you're representing has a lot to contribute within that business. So I think it's really important from an approach with an employer for that person to know that you have a reason for being there. And it reminds me of a colleague of mine, Tom Kohler from Citizen Advocacy in Georgia. He always had this great line when he was recruiting an advocate for a person with disability. And he would start by saying, here's why I'm talking with you. That you can describe what it is about their business, and you've done some research on their business, that you think may be a fit for the person you're representing and for them. Here's why I'm talking to you. It's not my job just to get somebody placed in a job. It is my job to figure out what a good job would be for the business and the person I'm representing based on what was learned in discovery. And if the business is willing, that I could spend some time in their business to understand more about what they do. Who are the people who work there? What are the tasks that they do? How do people typically learn their jobs? What do they need? What is the purpose of the business to see if there's a fit? And so we think of job development as being an informational process. It's not a hard sell process. It's informational. I'm representing somebody who I think could potentially have a lot to offer your business. Would you be interested in exploring that together to see if there is something? And if they're not interested, that's okay, because your whole purpose is to inform them on something that could be a possibility of mutual benefit. Everybody's not going to be interested. We've all been told no before. That's okay. If you've spent a half an hour with the person describing the person you're representing and your process for negotiating jobs, you might say, well, do you know somebody else in your line of work that I might contact? Could you give me a referral? It's informational. Not arm twisting, not hard sales. During the process of discovery, it's really important to learn about the impact of people's disability. Nothing about discovery is denying the impact of people's disability. It's not to name it. We don't care so much about the name, but we do care about what it looks like for people to get around in the world, what needs to be in place for people to be at their best. And so often when we really start exploring the impact of disability, it relates directly to work conditions. What needs to be in place for this person to be at their best. So maybe it's somebody who needs a task that's clearly done or not done, has a clear range of correctness. It could be that somebody especially needs coworkers that are consistent, where there's not turnover, somebody to really understand and know that person, a consistent supervisor. Perhaps people, as much as possible, need to work with people around the same age. It could be that people need specific tasks outlined ahead of time, like no surprises at work. And if things are going to change at work, that there's an explanation for working. So by exploring the impact of disability and what has worked over time, that families are really good at identifying, you can outline conditions for work. Now, we need to think about, when do we talk about conditions for work with an employer? Well, just like for ourselves, it's not going to be right off the bat. All of us have conditions for work, things that we want to have in place when we get a new job. But we're not going to start off the conversation by saying, well, I'm going to have off, every third Friday by 3 o'clock. No, you start off by offering what it is that you have to contribute to the business and why you're interested in working there. Same thing is true for people we're representing. That's what we always lead with, just like anybody would. It's just natural. What is this person interested in? How does that relate to the business? What do we think they may have to contribute that we'd like to explore to learn more about? And then later on, because just as discovery is not a one visit kind of deal with people, neither is job development. It's going to be multiple visits with the business. Now, not as much time is taken in job development as with an individual in discovery, but significant time and numerous visits and spending time with people to learn about the work there, to see if something can be negotiated. It's at that point that you, just like in our own lives, that we start talking about work conditions, things that need to be in place. And it's what we're looking for when we're exploring the business. Where can we envision conditions within the business being a fit for the person we're representing? Accommodations are not a new thing for an employer. Conditions for work are not a new thing for employers. So being clear on what you need, when to ask for it, how to ask for it, isn't something new. And rarely will there be a request that requires anything of an employer that would be out of line for what they typically would want to provide for any employee. One of the things that really helps in job development is to have a contact inside the business before you get in touch, to get an appointment to talk to them about customized employment and the person you're representing. Built into the process of discovery, the customized plan for employment meeting, where we gather people to talk about what the person's good at doing, interested in doing, what needs to be in place for the person to be at their best, what kinds of tasks would be good tasks that fit, and what companies may need those. The next question is, who knows somebody at one of these companies that we're talking about? So that's one way to get the information. But families typically have such a wide range of networks and contacts through their own work, maybe through professional organizations, maybe, Kiwanis or Rotary, something like that, their faith communities, a whole range of possibilities to make connections. It's not essential before contacting a business to know somebody on the inside, but it really does help. And what it helps with is not with your pitch, but it helps with the likelihood of getting an appointment to get on the inside. So I wouldn't say that you don't contact a company if you don't have a warm lead, but I would say it's worth spending some time ahead of time to find that out, as well as doing initial research on the company, just like you would if you were going in for an interview yourself, to be able to talk to the people within the company to show them that you know something about their purpose and what they do. Going back to that idea of, here's why I'm talking to you. I've got somebody who I think could have a lot to offer to your business. Would you be willing to explore that with me?